This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are covering the episode of ECW from January the 31st of 1995. Nate Maxson, your host, of course, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello, everyone.
And the champ, Mr. Chad Austin.
That's right. Sorry if my fibromyalgia is acting up again.
You don't have to apologize to me. I have the worst cold I've had in my entire life right now. I think it's because I'm getting old. I've probably had colds this bad. I just didn't notice as much.
Yeah, you're gonna say that. You're gonna say that now every cold you get. Like tomorrow, you're gonna come down. You're gonna have AIDS, and you're gonna say this is the worst AIDS I've ever had.
I think it's because I'm old.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years ago, I remember having AIDS. It was not like this.
Chad Austin threw that vial of AIDS at me, and now look at me.
And Chad Austin couldn't get the vial of AIDS through. Somebody else took a shot of the AIDS.
Couldn't get through security.
Yeah, but you could take a guitar and take off the guitar strings and put barbed wire across where the strings were, though. You could bring in a big Jew cross and a can of gasoline. But heavens forbid you bring a little bit of AIDS to a party. Ooh, the whole party shuts down. You hear a needle scratch. He's got the AIDS.
I just thought of that line on the I don't remember what is it Ill Communication, the Beastie Boys album that has Sabotage on it. And the guy's like, if I knew it was that kind of party, I'd have put my dick in the mashed potatoes a long time ago.
Oh yeah, if I knew it was that kind of party, stuck my dick in the mashed potatoes. That's is that dude the guy from House Party?
I think so, yeah. I can't remember his name, but yeah, now that you mention it, I think it is.
What's his last name? Gibbons or something?
Aaron, do you remember? I don't remember his name. I know exactly who Chad's talking about, but I can't remember the name.
Same guy that made Bebe's Kids, isn't it?
I'm sure probably he's in like every single. He's a typical black parent. in the movie.
He was like Robin Harris.
Probably, yeah. I mean, because I know he's a stand-up.
Yeah, he died. I can find out.
I think we were supposed to go see him doing stand-up in Baltimore. I mean, I didn't know it was him, but the judge came across like a whole bunch of free tickets, like a whole bunch of them. Like pretty much, pretty much like they couldn't give tickets away for this one show, and he was like, "Hey, I can get everybody in," and I don't know why I didn't go. Maybe because I had something else going on, or it was like one of them 11:30 shows, like on a Tuesday night. Like I ain't got time to go see this bone over there. And who'd you say he was? He's the guy that said he clogged the toilet up Friday. Wasn't that him? The guy on Friday, father or something?
No, that's a different dude.
Jesus, they're all the same guy.
Don't go in there for about another 35, 45 minutes.
He said he's still alive?
No, that guy's dead too. Yeah, Robin Harris is dead, and
Pitbull number 2. Pitbull Gary Wolf. I was laughing at that today. When they came across the TV, I was like, "Which one of these are dead? Aren't they both dead?"
Gary Wolf's early grave on Reliving the Extreme. But, before we start talking about the episode of ECW, it's finally coming to an end. After many, many weeks, we have the final paragraph of Chad Austin's Wikipedia here this week on Reliving the Extreme.
The final paragraph of my career.
Your epitaph, yes, it's here. In early 2008, Chad made several appearances for the Eastern Wrestling Alliance in Baltimore. On March 16th, he defeated Jimmy Stars at its Fight the Power Supercard. Jimmy Stars, you know who that is?
It's Jimmy effing Stars. Yeah, I used to know. He lives like not too far from me, and he used to be a part of the tag team with this other guy named Sexy Steve. And I used to make fun of them all the time because they were just skinny fucking bones. And they were like, they both did this like sexy boy like tag team, and he's Jimmy effing Stars. And I forgot what I used to call him all the time, but like it really got on his nerves, like because he was just, because he was a young kid. Young kids, you could just, that's what you do. You mess with them like that. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not being hard on the guy. I'm just like ribbing him.
Were they like PG-13 skinny? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were young kids like that. And I liked the guy. That's the only reason why I picked him out, because I thought he was one of the better ones out of the crew. So I was like, why not just goof on him, because that way you get to hang out with him, whatever. But then he used to like when I used to go see him out like on a Friday or Saturday night or something, and we're at the same bar or something, he would like, oh, look who's here, Mr. Big Time. What do you mean, Mr. Big Time? I'm at the same bar you're at. We're in Dundalk. What are you talking about? 25-cent bottles. Mr. Big Time. I come rolling in here with a half a roll of quarters. Nah, Jimmy Stars is an alright kind of guy, and so is Sexy Steve, his partner. Nice, what a tag team! I remember we were at a wrestling show one time, and the locker room guy would read off the card. All the boys would be standing there, and we wouldn't know the card, and he would go down like whoever's wrestling whoever, raise your hand when he calls your name, and he says Chad. I raise my hand up, and he goes, "You'll be wrestling Sexy Steve." And I turn, and I barely see a hand raised up amongst a gang of 5'6" people. I barely see a hand go up. And I turned around, looked, and I went, "You're Sexy Steve?" And then the guy goes, "Well, Chad, you beat him in like 5 minutes." And I said, I said, "With what?" He said, "I don't know." He goes, "You can beat him with whatever you want." I go, "I know." I mean, but can you be a little more specific? So I was like, what do you want me to give him, a wrist lock? I'll get him in an arm bar, take it home. I'm pretty sure all the Hellcats, that was their gimmick. It was Jimmy Stars and Sexy Steve. They were called the Hellcats, and their gimmick was THC. Ooh. That was like on the side of their trunk. THC, the Hellcats.
Fucking lame.
And this is the last thing Wikipedia's got on me.
No, we still got more of this paragraph. I don't know why, but I picture that team coming out to pour some sugar on me.
Oh, they don't know anything about that.
I had probably Right Said Fred.
Some old Kid Rock. They got a hold of like Pollywog Stew or whatever the first album was that has like the Bull God on it that nobody ever had for the longest time until Kid Rock was already popular. Then he found it. Look what I got, the first Kid Rock record.
It's the only one that doesn't suck.
Oh, you're right, because it's the only one that has like all the styles like on it. He's like DJing, and he's got like the old school hip hop beats, and and then he goes into the heavy metal. That's a good one.
What's funny is I'm not a huge fan of Kid Rock, but I was a fan of Uncle Kracker, and he didn't ever amount to much, really, as far as a solo artist goes. But I did like him. I don't know. I don't hate Kid Rock, but I'm not a big fan. But I liked Uncle Kracker. Anyway, that's completely fucking beside the point.
Yeah, I mean, I did coke with Kid Rock. Me, Axel, Balls. Boy, I kept myself in some good company, didn't I? Back in ECW.
when I was just a young man, my first job was at a Sam Goody store in Toledo, in Toledo, Ohio.
What was your job? Taking them plastic things off the cassette?
Yeah, essentially, yes. And making sure punk ass kids didn't steal the Positive K single. But
I got it, man.
What your man got to do with me?
What guy is stealing that record?
It's 1996. Give him a break.
It's got to be a fraternity prank. You got to go into Sam Goody and steal Positive K. I got it, man. You got to get the single because it has the dub on the B side, and then you got to get the full length.
Because Toledo was so close to Detroit, and they were still young in their careers. There was actually times where we would have CD signings with Kid Rock and also ICP. Kid Rock, totally cool. ICP, complete fucking pricks.
Yeah. ICP. Yeah. We did a show on the Eastern Shore, and if you're from where I am, the Eastern Shore, you guys would know exactly. If you guys got a glimpse of the Eastern Shore, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just farms, it's all farms, like tons of land with just wheat and stuff. And we ran a show over there, and like they paid their own way. They were on tour, and they were coming through Baltimore. They were coming through the Eastern Shore, and they found out there was a show there. So they took the bus to the show, and they paid the promoter, Whipwreck, to let them get on the show. And I remember they were like in the hallways, like going over their match and stuff. It was just like me and Keenan were going over our match in the hallway, and they had some goofs walking down the hallway, like doing the whole like they were security around the Insane Clown Posse. And like me and Keenan were just going over our match, like looking at them. As they're like the guys like trying to clear the hallway, and I'm going like duck the clothesline, drag the trail on, you know? And then we're being butted up against the wall for clowns, like literally. And then I went and saw them live at a very very local establishment that I used to live like a couple blocks from, and dude, they destroyed this place. The owner was at least smart enough to cover the whole entire concert side in plastic. So when they started the Fago party, because I don't think he really knew, I think somebody had to smarten him up about, dude, you better cover this place up in plastic because you just spent like $20,000 for a brand new country line dancing floor.
Yeah, it's gonna get real sticky real quick.
Oh yeah, I mean, all I remember was like they grabbed Axel. They told Axel to come on stage and start doing the Fago too. And because they grabbed Axel grabbed me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be on that side of the Fago. I'm going to be on the dishing it outside. I'm tired of being over here getting hit with the strawberry.
I was about to say that I ain't getting covered in red pop.
Yeah, this Owaya or whatever. The fucking the fucking ICP sucked.
Oh, I mean, whatever happened to them? I wonder if they're still around.
Aren't they still wrestling in people's backyards and shit? I don't know.
They're still around.
And they're still big in like the Midwest, like where you guys live. Probably,
yeah,
you just don't know it.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, unfortunately, yes, our area of the country, that's our fault. We're sorry.
They do those Juggalo fests and all that shit.
That just sounds like it's awful. Sounds like it should be co-sponsored by Combat Zone, and like on the special stage is IWA Mid-South. Like it's also appearing Madman Pondo.
Oh God,
that's like the only time you're gonna pop for Madman Pondo. It's if you're going to a Juggalo fest.
It's like after the festival, you got to get shots. Like,
or both and get shot.
You know, it's one of the wackiest things I've ever seen. I don't know if JCW still exists, but I remember they did a Juggalo Championship Wrestling card, and it looked like it was in somebody's backyard, and they had like a battle royal, you know, and whoever's in it, whatever, it's fine. But the person that surprised me the most was this Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and out comes Bob Backlund. And I'm like, what in the fuck is, morbid curiosity. All right, I'm going to watch Bob Backlund in Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
I wonder if they did that shit just because they had the money to do that shit. Because I know they did. I've heard stories that they would bring in just guys that they liked growing up and stuff, you know. Could you imagine just being, I mean, I don't know if Bob Backlund has a booker, an agent or anything, or he takes his own bookings. You imagine you calling up and he's like, yeah, this is Von and Jay. Can I speak to Mr. Backlund? Like to hear that conversation.
You can tell when you watch the video. I think it's on YouTube. Backlund's just there. Like, to him, it's just another appearance, you know. He has no idea what the fuck a Juggalo is. He has no idea what the fuck is going on. He's just Bob Backlund doing the Mr. Backlund character. And
can you imagine him asking the Juggalos to name all the presidents?
or just randomly spell words.
But yeah, I was gonna say Bob Backlund playing Scrabble with ICP.
Doing on Face the Nation or something.
And he's got on the glasses with the flip up sunglass thing, you know, on the
Mr. Backlund, man.
Scrabble with
Jesus.
Bob Backlund versus ICP.
I'd pay pay-per-view money for that.
Same.
He's
Bob
spelling
Backlund's
out.
pretty much doing anything with Insane Clown Posse.
He's spelling out like fucking super cali bad. Like he's spelling out big words, and they're just like cunt, fuck, dick.
Yeah. Bitch, slut. Oh, and then bitch is like 5 letters.
Backlund's
And then
like,
he puts
capricious.
like at the end of bitch he puts EZ. Look, bitches. for triple points. Triple point score.
All right, let's see the next sentence here. After the match with Jimmy Stars, Chad was attacked by the Varsity, Zach Matthews and Bruce Chan.
Oof.
The Chinese guy.
Bruce. The Varsity?
That's what it says here, the Varsity.
Oof. I don't know what school they went to. If they were the Varsity, because I think I remember Bruce Chin. I think he is like, oh my God. I want to say like he's one of them like 120-pound guys. Really, really small. Just complete, you know. Who was the other guy? Corey Taylor from Slipknot?
Zach Matthews.
I don't even know who the hell that is. Zach Matthews. You got a completely solid independent name though. Zach Matthews. You can see him. He's going up. He's going after the NAWA Mid America title against Tony Atlas and Parsippany. Judy Bagwell's shoes on a pole.
I met Tony Atlas, gigantic fucking person.
I just showed. So he just said he had a picture with somebody I know recently, and the Tony Atlas's arm was like bigger than like
It was
from
Aaron.
like his shoulder up.
It was
And,
Aaron.
like,
It was the picture was with Aaron. Yeah, from the
Oh, was
show.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the show we went to last weekend. Yeah.
I showed that picture to Jess. I was like, look at this guy's arm.
When I looked at the picture, I was like, I am a tiny, tiny man.
No, you're just not Tony Atlas big. Yeah, dude, I was like, that was some shit, man.
When I saw that picture, I was like, I felt emasculated. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well,
The coolest thing about Tony to me, and I mentioned it to Aaron, was Aaron had him sign a magazine that Tony was on the cover of. Okay, and Tony signed the cover of the magazine, and then he opened up the magazine, and there was another picture of Tony. So he signed that page too. I was like, he gave you 2 autographs. He signed every page he was on.
did he give you the laugh?
Yeah,
No, yeah.
it was a good time.
Jesus, Tony Atlas, man. What can you say, dude? The man, he is completely awesome, dude. Just
He is. I've anybody that's ever said anything negative about Atlas, I'm like, go piss up a rope. Tony Atlas is cool as shit.
wow. What is the anything negative about Tony Atlas?
I don't know. I've heard your pretentious crowd sometimes knock his work rate and stuff, and it's like whatever.
Dude, he's terrible.
But he doesn't have to be fucking Bret Hart. You know what I mean? That's not his role. You know, that's not what he's there for.
He's teaming up with Mr. Wrestling #2 for Christ's sake. And he's working opposite Kevin Sullivan and Matt Bourne. You know what I mean? What are you expecting? Luthez and Vern Gagne.
I was supposed to say, you want a fucking clinic? That's not your match. If you want to be entertained, you're probably going to like this match.
They probably go to the clinic. Tony Atlas are going to evolve somebody's feet, though. I'll tell you that. He used to love it when Greg Valentine worked the leg and get him in that spinning toe hold.
Get them feet. Get them feet.
Yep.
That's
Can you do it with both legs, Greg?
There was this group of people that were just lingering when I'm like waiting to get the autograph, and they just keep talking to him or whatever. And I'm like, and there was like this kind of quasi-attractive Mexican lady, and as they're talking to him, that's what all I was thinking was he was probably like, yeah, let me get them feet.
Yep. What size feet? What size shoe you wear, lady? I know he said that. That's 100% of a shoot. I know he said that.
Give me them
words.
Give me them.
Came out of his mouth.
Give me them fetus, senorita.
He said, "Give me them fetus." Jesus.
All right. Chad made another appearance a month later, losing to Zachary Shane at Baltimore's Tall Cedar Hall on April 20th.
Yeah, my career is definitely going downhill. Even in the Maryland bookings, because I noticed there's not any more Maryland Championship Wrestling bookings anymore. Now I'm working for the EWA, the not Major Leagues of Maryland Wrestling. And Tall Cedars, I pass it all the time when me and Miss Jess are going like out to eat somewhere other than right down the street. It's pretty close. It's a great building for it's a really good building for wrestling. It's got its own built-in concession stand. It's got like hardwood floors. Very, very, very accommodating. Lock. It's just like
We had a little bit of an internet issue there, but we are back, and Chad was telling us about Tall Cedar Hall. That was a great venue for wrestling.
It totally is, man. I enjoyed every time I ever worked there, and from what I understand, it was relatively inexpensive to run, and it even came with an alcohol license.
Boom!
Like it came with a beer license anyway. Like I know you could buy beer there. I mean, you could buy like beer and wine. I think that's about all you could buy there. But I always love working there. I get my paydays and get my payday in fives, so I can go up to the bar and give the guy a $5, and then tell him to keep the other buck. Like because you're getting like big ass like 16-ounce like cups. You know what I mean? Like big ass cups for like $5 or like $4, and you just give them like a 5 or something and tell them to keep the change and whatever. So needless to say, with the payday I was getting, I got like 3 beers. And like I had enough left over for that one hot dog that's been in there since the silent era. It was the one hot dog that Jim Lundis turned down.
I was gonna say Jim Lundis went to see Nosferatu.
Yeah, and there was that one hot dog in there. They just put it in.
Later that year, Chad and Kylie Pierce lost an intergender tag team match to Angela and the Baltimore Bully at MCW's Ravens Kickoff in Canton, Maryland on September 5th, 2008.
Me and Kylie Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
You know who that name rings a bell, doesn't it?
Oh, she's the girl you had the match where you brought the AIDS, right?
Yeah, Tournament of Death.
I guess made up.
That's old Kylie Pierce. And he said me and her teamed up and we beat who?
Angela and the Baltimore Bully.
All right. That sounds like you said this show had a specific title, right?
Yes, it was Ravens Kickoff.
Okay. That was one of them deals where it was like opening day, and like there's this like area where we live at to have like a whole bunch of bars that have like outside seating and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they all do like a Ravens thing, and they have bands and all kinds of other stuff, and then they have music, and then they have wrestling, and like Kelly Bell and all were part of it. And then Kylie Pierce is the girl I worked with, and Angela ended up become our like girl cheerleader of me and Dino's tag team, the Slackers.
Okay.
She was the girl that she teamed with us for months and months and months that we didn't know she could do anything. And then finally somebody pulled us aside, and then we were talking, all three of us were talking to another girl, and they asked if she had done any of her stuff yet. And we were like, what do you mean stuff? And she's like, oh, she's like a world-class gymnast. And we're like, what the fuck do you mean she's a world-class gymnast?
Yeah, why has she been kayfabing this whole time? Yeah.
She never told us anything. So then once we saw some of the stuff that she could do, we automatically like figured out how we can get her to do most of the match. All we got to do is our comedy spot, our typical comedy spots. And then we set it up to where the referee goes with the one guy or whatever. And then that leaves me, Dino, in the ring with the other guy. And we would send the guy into the corner. Me and Dino would both splash him or do a spot. And then all of a sudden, while the referee's back was turned, Angela would come in and do a double handspring backflip with a tuck.
Elbow.
Yeah, but she could do it like 10 times. She could do it from the locker room to the ring. Like she'd go back to the locker room and come out handspringing all the way down the aisle. And then she would handspring up the ring steps. And she would handspring like in between the ropes to get into the ring. And like, how the hell is she doing all this stuff? And slowly but surely, as far as I know, she just kind of like got out of the business. And it wasn't a bazillion years ago that I ran into like the main girl from the company at the time, Candy, and I asked her, whatever happened to her? And she's like, oh, it was her job. And I'm like, what'd she do? She's like, oh yeah, she's a rocket scientist. Like, what do you mean? She's like, for real, she's a shoot rocket scientist. And like, what is she doing dicking around with pro wrestling?
She's a rocket scientist, a gymnast.
She was everything but successful at pro wrestling. She was successful in every other facet of her life. And what was cool is that her boyfriend was like this super, like, really cool guy. Like, everybody liked him and all. And he had to have a cool name. His name was Cash. He went on later on in life to meet a guy named Dax. And they went on to forever to be known as FTR.
Oh.
Actually, that's not true at all.
Oh, well, all right. Hey, you had me.
Yeah, Dax and Cash, because his name was Cash. Oh, he was also invented the Wu-Tang Clan, too. He was hanging out with the Wu-Tang Clan one time, and he's like, man, this Cash is ruling everything around me. Like, you're an honorary Wuso member. that, my friends, is very Usi.
The last sentence of Chad's Wikipedia page. On November 7th, 2009, Chad lost to Keenan Creed in a three-way dance with Andrew Riker at the New Green Room in Dundalk.
Oof. Andrew Riker. Was that you? Oh, Andrew Riker. I'm trying to think of who that was.
I was so hoping the last sentence would have been like, on November 28th, Chad passed away. Like they killed him off.
Probably. I've been killed off from every other company that I worked at.
He's buried next to Gary Wolf.
It's waiting for him. I put a down payment on Gary Wolf's plot. I know he's going to be dead soon.
Soon enough.
If he's not already dead. I had to tell the guy at the funeral place, like, can you double check again to make sure that he's still alive? I've been thinking he's been dead for 2 years now.
Well, that's it for Chad's Wikipedia page. Now we dig into the episode of ECW from January the 31st, 1995. And as the show opens, we show Joey Styles from last week talking about Tully Blanchard, the whole new Tully Blanchard, old Tully Blanchard thing. They show the finish from last week's main event. And then we get a, obviously staged, but behind the scenes thing of Joey Styles without his jacket talking about, I want to do an interview with this guy, and then they have to throw back out to the ring because the fans in Florida are throwing the chairs into the ring like they're in the ECW arena.
Which happened at the end of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they showed it at the beginning of the show?
They showed it at the beginning of the show. And my question is, do you think, because I know, Chad, you said you weren't there, do you think that this was, I know because the first time that the chairs got thrown in the ring in the ECW arena, it was organic. It just happened. Do you think the fans were encouraged to do so?
No, they were encouraged not to do so.
Okay.
And it goes back to Eddie Gilbert 101. When they tell you can't do something.
Yeah, reverse psychology.
Plus, not only that is them fans in Florida, they were not ECW fans like ECW. They wanted to be ECW fans so bad. They were just a couple steps shy of being like ECW. And I think it took them a while to look around and realize there ain't no security here. We can do it whatever we want. And isn't that where they broke the ring at too?
In
Florida?
I think so. Yeah.
It wasn't this episode, but I'm pretty sure it was in Florida because it was the end of the tour, I believe, when all the fans started running into the ring. Good thing I wasn't there. But these recaps, man, I've had enough of these fucking recaps. Jeez,
like
enough.
We've already seen it.
can't believe they're not. They ain't showing Mr. Hughes stuff still.
That money.
The urn.
Well, next we get a Shane Douglas promo at poolside, and he is discussing Tully Blanchard, and essentially the gist of the promo, which I thought it was effective, was he's talking about how Tully Blanchard is of course at this point Tully Blanchard is a born again Christian, et cetera, and Shane's talking about how Tully is two-faced about sin and addiction.
Yeah, that was some good shit because that was from the heart. It was like, I mean, it was stuff that I'm sure Tully didn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure Tully was still under the impression that he was being brought back, for more dates. Because we've already discussed that before about Tully's situation with the promotion.
And it also promotes Tully's other business because not only is he in the wrestling business, he's in the God business.
Of course, everybody eventually gets into the God business,
which is the same as professional wrestling, but that's neither here nor there.
Just like every NFL star that signs their first big contract somehow buys a car wash. If you're a pro wrestling star, when you get your first big contract, then you want to get a church. Sure you are.
Aaron, your comments on this promo?
Oh, not before you get Aaron's comments, and don't forget where he got the church and all that. He got it in like a taxable state and shit.
Of course he did.
Yeah, even though you're not going to tax, you can't tax the churches anyway. He got like a whole entire. He was in the Bible Belt where like every tax law was exempt. Every single law, like even the guy who owns the ministry or whatever is exempt from like his income, like from the offerings. I wonder if Teddy was smart, like when he passed around all the donation plates and stuff like that, like everybody who donated got like a coupon to get like a free picture at the end of the night. You pass it around and somebody standing behind you giving you a ticket. Afterwards, you can go get your picture taken with Ted DiBiase, a Polaroid. Or knowing him, he probably had somebody draw a picture of you and him together. It's two stick people, and one guy's got a couple of dollars in his hand.
And then he goes, ha, 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 ha.
That's exactly how he did it, too, I think.
But no, like you were saying, like, that's in my notes, is that, like you said, he's in front of the pool, he's whatever, and I know sometimes a couple episodes, we've talked some shit about Shane, that, like, he concentrates too much on, like, people being, like people he perceived to treat him negatively or whatever. But at the end of the day, honestly, he's a fucking tremendous promo. Mm-hmm.
I have to say, from talking about the convention that Aaron and I went to with the Tony Atlas story last week, I actually got to meet Shane and Francine for the first time at that convention, and they said to tell you hi, Chad, by the way.
Right on.
But
it's funny how I see Francine just a couple times a year, just completely by accident.
They are both, and I did not expect, especially with Shane, and maybe with Francine, but especially with Shane, they are cool as fuck, man. Like he took, it's a signing, it's an autograph thing or whatever. I bet he bullshitted with me for 20 minutes, and very cool guy. And also he brought up, remember last week when we talked about the show and they showed the highlights from the Florida shows, and they showed Public Enemy facing a couple of local guys. Shane actually, without even, because I mentioned to him that we had discussed on the show his match with Ron Simmons in Florida. And he said, you know what I remember about that Florida swing? He said, I remember talking to Public Enemy because they had went out there with two local guys and had the same 20-minute match that they would have with Sabu and Taz. And he said, I went up to Rocco and I'm like, Rocco, you're a fucking veteran. Why are you having the same match with these two guys that you would have with Sabu and Taz? Why are you not just demolishing these guys in 5 minutes? And yeah, so it was just ironic that we had just watched that, and then he had that story for me. But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who the guys were. You said who were the guys?
Shane didn't know who they were either, but he knew they were just local guys,
Of
local.
course they were.
Yeah, local wherever they were. Where were we at? Ocala or something like that. But yeah, he was like, I couldn't believe they're having a 20-minute match with chairs and garbage cans and all this stuff that they would do with like Sabu and Taz with these two guys that don't fucking matter. Like,
Well,
you do you not know how the business works?
You talking to Grunge and fucking Rocco Rock, for Christ's sake.
Touche.
Cheetah Kid and Zap were the equalizers.
Yeah, I was getting I got Shane. I had Shane sign this picture of him in his rookie year or whatever, and I didn't talk to him as long as Nate did because I don't talk to people. But I look at it as a transaction. You sign my shit, shake my hand, I move on. But I'd mentioned to him that we were doing we do this show, and I was like, yeah, I do this show with Chad Austin with me and my brother. And Shane was like, oh yeah, man, I haven't seen Chad in years. And then Francine, she was just sitting there. I wasn't really talking to her, and she was like, did you say Chad Austin? I said, yeah, Chad Austin. And she goes, I was in Baltimore and I did some show with Robbie E and was hanging out at Jimmy Seafood's, and Chad showed up with like 2 beers in his hand and just randomly was like, what the fuck's up?
Yeah. That's because of the judge. I believe the judge was the one that told me that because they were in town for something, and probably one of them Celeb Fest convention or something. And I was like, well, what's everybody doing? He says, what do you think? And I'm like, going to Jimmy's. And again, I only live like a few blocks from Jimmy's. So I was all banged up at the time. I figured I better hurry up and get over there before I get too even more banged up. And around where I live at, you can drive drunk all the time because every car has got side damage to it. You know what I mean? Every car's been in an accident around here, so it doesn't look suspicious. I walk to the store like every day, and there's just like 5 new cars on our block. And then I walk to the store again a couple days later, and it's still sitting there. And I walk to the store a couple days later to that. Now there's cobwebs growing on it. Like nobody does anything about it. The car's been there, and like by this point, after like 2 or 3 weeks, you're starting to see less and less stuff on the car. Like all of a sudden now there's only one hubcap left, and then like even the antenna's gone. They're just picking the car apart.
They don't even need the chop shop.
Yeah, you just leave your car outside for a couple days. Yeah, but Francine was cool. I always liked seeing her. She was always cool to me because we were like in the same positions, breaking in together at the same time, like because we were stuck together. She was a jobber basically. She was getting 911 all over the place at the time, and so was I. So we figured maybe one day we could team up and like soften the blow. You take it first. I'll take it first, Francine. Then you take it. And she's like, why do I take it second? Because the first one is good. I'll take the first one, then you take the second one. And then we'll both take the third, fourth, and fifth one. And after that, there won't be any more.
Well, the next thing that we see on this show is Public Enemy versus Sabu and Taz for the ECW Tag Team Championships. And I'm interested in your guys' notes on this match.
Ooh, just a mess.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of notes on it. Just kind of it's a brawl all over the building. I mean, it's your typical ECW tag team debauchery, basically.
Yep, and we still got like it's still all this. Yeah, you're right. It's just all the same spots, just brawling all over the place.
And like, it should go without saying, but like Sabu was kind of the shiner in the match. Like he's the guy that stood out the most, and it was, like I said, typical ECW fare.
Like I could just imagine what it was like going over the match with them guys, because I know from my own experience how them kind of matches kind of go. They don't go over anything. They pretty much go over what they're going to do later on that night after the show. And then he's like, okay, now it's time for us to go to the ring. What are we going to do? I don't know. Just what we always do.
Walk and brawl.
Yeah. You take me around and show me all the uglies in the crowd. Look at this one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Your standard Public Enemy match, where essentially it seems like almost every major, at least, Public Enemy match is 2 matches because one of their opponents squares off with one of them in the ring, and the other opponent squares off outside the ring, and that's how it goes for 15 minutes.
Well, that's how it went. That's how it went through 99% of the Public Enemy matches, and the other 1% were them against the Harris brothers. It didn't quite go. It didn't quite go that way. The Harris brothers told them, "Here's what we're going to do." He's like, "Ron, you take him all over the building. Another one, you stay with me, and I'll just beat you up in the ring while my brother is beating up your partner all over the building." All right, that's probably where they got the idea from.
Yeah. Anybody got a problem? Nope.
Nope. No, sir, Mr. Hitler. You got Adolf over there, and you got Adolf and Stalin over there, the Harris brothers.
It's like, how many minutes you want to go? 9.
I ain't never met one that went 9 minutes. Like, what, a wrestler? He goes, no, a Jew. Oh, 9 minutes in the Inferno.
He's on a different kind of gas, this guy.
Jesus. He held his breath longer than all the other Jews. Jeez whiz, I'm going to hell again. I'm packing a couple bags for this ride.
I'm trying to get my we get tables, of course, involved here. At some point, Taz gets put through a table in the ring and gets pinned. But Sabu puts Johnny Grunge through the table on the outside, and 911 comes out and gets involved in this matchup. But yeah, like the guys were saying, this is just it's hard to take notes on a match like this because it's just a wild brawl all over the place. And in the end, the Public Enemy retains the tag titles. 911 choke slams or gets a hold of the referee, gets hit by the chair by Rocco Rock, and then essentially 911 choke slams Rocco. But in the end, like I said, the Public Enemy comes out still the tag team champions. Kind of a debacle. I mean, it was fun to watch. I'm not going to hate on it, but
just typical, right?
Yep.
It's typical Public Enemy shit.
Nothing special, nothing bad, just there.
Because they can't do anything. They're terrible. Ungodly terrible. Jesus. Yeah, I don't have much to say either. It's just, it was what it was. It was just a mess. You know? And it was pretty much, I mean, since there was a no finish, right? Or was there a finish?
No, there was a finish. Taz does get pinned.
I didn't see him get pinned. So you were paying more attention than I was. I put it actually in my notes. I was like, I don't think this thing had a finish.
Well, I mean, that would be the way that would be the way to do it, because if I'm correct on my timeline, aren't we getting close to the end of the Tasmaniac?
Oh yeah.
So why wouldn't you just go out beating the Tasmaniac? You know, it's no harm to what later becomes Taz, because you're just beating one character. You know, and then he's going to be gone for a little while, and then he's going to come back, and then you're going to forget all about the Tasmaniac jerk. But yeah, that's the way you do it.
Well, then we get Joey Styles interviewing Paul E. dangerously. Essentially, Paul cuts a promo talking about how it gets to the point where he talks about Public Enemy going to hell and how they're going to go through tables, which is obviously setting up a tables match for Sabu and Taz to face the Public Enemy in a tables match for the tag team titles. And here we go with tables. And you fast forward 20 some years later, and the table thing is so played out. But at this time, like I say all the time, at this time it was something different in professional wrestling. So
that was when everybody ran out, and the whole joke was everybody's going to go out and get stock in the table company. Because I mean, it literally was like, I could tell you, probably on both hands, probably total like 10 times how many times we went out to the ring just to like check the ring out before the show. just get in the ring. Everybody does it pretty much. You get in the even though you're pretty much assured it's the same ring you're always working in, but you just want to make sure that the ropes are the way they're supposed to be. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
How guys get in the ring, just want to check the ring out, kind of stuff. And yeah, they would do all that stuff, and it was just a mess. And the Paulie promo I thought was tremendous.
Of course, yes.
I mean, because it would have had to have been done in post production because Paulie knew exactly how much time he had to kill again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they cover up all this, the Band-Aid, this debacle.
The next, Aaron. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pass you up, Aaron. Do you have any comments on Paulie's promo?
No, like you guys said, it was really good, and it's never bad with Paul Heyman. It was just kind of continuing the story, moving to the next chapter of this fucking Taz, Sabu, PE thing that doesn't seem like it's ever going to end.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's good. I guess it's good if you're there live because it always seems like it was a good idea when it's not a good idea. It just seems better when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're watching a bunch of sweaty guys bleeding all over the place, like Johnny Grunge at least was, as far as I know. Bleeding all over the place.
That's all he was good for, sweating and bleeding.
Yeah, and Rocco.
Well, the next thing is good, at least in my opinion. We have Raven, and he is in a classroom cutting a promo on essentially Tommy Dreamer and childhood, being a misfit and an outcast. And again, like I've said in a few episodes since he has arrived in ECW, to put it in perspective, this is 1995. Grunge is a thing, and angst is a thing, and Scott Levy really tapped into that as best as anybody could, I think. And he does a really good promo here. Your guys' comments?
Typical Raven.
Yeah.
Who knows how many? It had taken him a while to write "I Hate Dreamer" that many times on the blackboard. Though.
Yeah, I have on here. And as they fade out, "I Hate Dreamer" is written like 70 times on the chalkboard.
At least as many times as they could fit it in that thing.
But what a way to get over the point that you're getting to, right? You know, without him having to even say anything. I thought that was genius.
And the best part is that they really don't even have a story. The story hasn't even been. Plus, it's because they didn't even know what it was yet.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even. There's no chance that they knew they were going to go the route of the summertime girl story thing. They had no idea that was going to be the story for it. They just went ahead with the angle, and then we'll just insert the reason why later.
Yeah, I personally. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, honestly, they probably stumbled upon Beulah and were like, "Oh shit, let's use that." Like she's, you know what I mean? Like they probably don't have her yet, and then when they stumbled upon her, they were probably like, "Oh, look at her, let's do this angle with this chick." You know,
I can't remember why Beulah was even brought in to begin with. Who did she know? How did she even get there? Because I don't think she was anybody's girlfriend at the time. Because I don't think she knew shit about wrestling. Or was she there with Scotty first? I don't remember. I would have to run into Dreamer somewhere where you would have to catch me out of the house.
Yeah, and I don't know either, to be honest with you. I do know that, and like you said, this could be the side effect of not knowing where you're going with the story, but it is fun storytelling to just get the little morsels, you know, you're not getting slapped upon the head with a story right away. It's a fun build to figure, okay, where the fuck is this going? What is the story? And like you said, Chad, it's kind of a side effect of, well, we don't even know where the fuck we're going, but come along for the ride with us.
Yeah, you keep the story. You just keep the story going because, theoretically, the whole entire story basically was after the whole entire Beulah thing is discovered, is that Dreamer just could never beat Raven, like at anything. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the old angle with what was it? The angle with the Freebirds in like the Mid-South, where when they signed the Freebirds and Terry Gordy's talking about Steve Williams and all, and he talks about how he used to beat him picking up women. He used to beat him at playing pool, and now he's going to beat him for the Universal title. that's kind of the same thing with like the Raven and Jericho thing. It's like Raven's all bragging about how he took his girl and he did all this and that, and he's like, you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Good stuff, man. It's definitely a good. It's not even the beginning, but it's just like the snowball effect. It's getting there. It's picking up steam, as far as I know.
Yep, you're building intrigue, and that's how you get asses in seats. Building intrigue.
Well, in ECW, you didn't have to build intrigue. You just had to open the doors. That was the intrigue, is how many seats are they going to have this time?
Am I going to have to stand by the fire exit?
That's the place to be. Either stand by the fire exit or you stand by where they give the wrestlers their hot dogs and the beer. You could either run out the side door or run back to the back of the locker room. It's probably on fire. That's where the fire came from, the locker room.
Something's burning.
New Jack dropped his pipe.
Well, the main event of this show is Cactus Jack and Sandman in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And I actually enjoyed it. I thought this was good. I thought it was paced well. They do a lot of spots with outside the ring with fans, handing somebody a frying pan or whatever. But again, I like to put in the perspective of time. At this time, none of this was overdone, and it was innovative in the United States anyway.
It was just the only thing that I hated about it was it was just too long. It was just the same thing for 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. It was and normally they edit a match in ECW, and you're like, God, they over edited this thing, or they edited it poorly. And with this one, they didn't edit it enough. I totally see what you're saying.
They needed it probably.
Yes.
Because we had to be running out of Florida stuff by this point.
And that's not in any way a slight on Cactus and Sandman, but Chad's right. You get to a point where it's like, okay, here's the frying pan again. Like we've reintroduced it. I did like the use of the garbage can in this match, because it starts out as a garbage can and it winds up looking like a car that's been through like the crusher thing. And I thought that it sounds stupid, but I thought the evolution of the trash can in this match was effective, because by the time they're done, it's a flat thing. And actually, a garbage can being flat is more effective than a garbage can being full, because it's got sharper edges.
Yeah, I know that firsthand. I got the newspaper clippings and the hospital wristbands to prove it. That it's always better to be hit the first time with the trash can than it is the second and third time. That's where I learned. And them trash cans, man, they don't hurt at all. They sound very good and all, but man, they do more damage if once they're crushed. You should bring the trash can out already crushed. That's the way to do it. Bring it out. You bring the trash can out. You set it down there right in the center of the aisleway, and you stomp all over it. That's how you bring the trash can in the ring, when it's already smashed up. But other than that, I want to be the first one taking it. I liked the Sandman and Cactus because it was typical Sandman. Wasn't he smoking a cigarette the whole entire time?
He definitely has one a few times, and Woman is so good here. Obviously,
yeah. I even wrote that. I even wrote that Woman was really good.
And they tell a story of Cactus having his hand injured during the match because he punches the trash can, which Sandman, of course, takes advantage of the fact that his hand is injured. Aaron, before we get to the finish, any comments on the match itself?
No, because by the time we got to this, I was kind of lost in the sauce. I'd been drinking a lot. So I have no notes. Really my notes just go Cactus, Sandman, Falls Anywhere, awesome, Woman hot. Those are my notes.
Yeah. You're like a caveman in the notes.
Yeah.
Woman's the hottest. The Woman is always going to be the hottest broad you're going to see on TV, but not the hottest broad you see in person. I'll always go down and say that, man. I mean, Woman was just completely stunning, like her appearance, and it's amazing how somebody puts that much time into their appearance, but yet she does have some problems with her skin and all that. Even all the makeup can't hide, which is genetic, ain't her fault or anything.
Right.
But you have to get up close to like to see all the flaws. But still, I'm pretty sure I could put that aside.
No shit.
Just to have her on my resume.
I'll just be like, smack me, please.
Please. Oh, no, because I imagine getting rough with her in bed. She'll bring the Sandman.
Okay.
She'll say it again, Sandman.
Where's my $20, Chad Austin?
For a woman, I'd be coughing $20 out of every orifice of my body. If that's all you're going to charge is $20 for a woman.
Yeah, she ain't Peach's prices. What are you talking
I can't even get a picture with her for $20. Like, what do I get for $20 for the Sandman, Hack? What are you offering me here?
It's early in his career. He's desperate.
She doesn't even know that he's charging money for pictures.
Cactus Jack hits an elbow on the outside of the ring for the pin on Sandman in this one. And my favorite part of this, actually, I love the match. I really did. But after the match, after the pinfall, woman hits Cactus. She hits Cactus with the cane. And he starts to go after her. And what an awesome scene with her screaming. She has an awesome scream here, like as Cactus is coming at her. It's almost like, like Jamie Lee Curtis with Michael Myers or something.
She's good, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was good enough, like here, that even though I was counting back, like what year this was and how long she had already been in the business. What, she already had, 13 years in?
Did she start? Okay, so did she start in 83?
I mean, it could be as early as late 82.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm talking 82 is when this whole entire thing started with Sullivan and all that, and Nancy being one of them. Her story, how she was always hanging around, and she could have already been in some of the vignettes.
Right.
Well, she was in the vignette with Luna, right?
Yes.
So that goes back to like late 83 or early 83, I guess. Late 82. Yeah, because I mean, Dusty and I don't know, because you got what was it, Christmas night? Wasn't that the big Dusty loser leave? When the Jake Roberts gimmick?
Yeah, so she's 11 years in the business at this point.
Of course. I mean, 11 years in a business for a chick her age and a chick that looks like her. Oof. The stories that fucking body could tell. Good Lord.
Well,
I'd read that book.
Sandman canes Cactus, and then he tries to blind Cactus with his cigarette, which brings in Mikey Whipwreck, and he canes the Sandman, chasing woman and Sandman off. Then we get a Sandman and woman promo, which I didn't understand. I mean, the promo was fine, but I didn't understand woman saying, "I'm trying to turn you into him." I guess I don't know. It lost me. I didn't know what that was supposed to be about.
I remember that too, and I remember me thinking, I guess the closest you can say about it is that she's going to take somebody who was just generally just like a jobber. No, I don't want to say like a jobber, but somebody who didn't have like that mean streak kind of thing. And like she just, manipulated them into doing whatever she wanted. I guess that's the way I looked at it.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
You're gonna do what I say. And it's just like, there's just no chance at this point. Cause I mean, you never hear any stories of Cactus Jack wanting rats and stuff.
Right.
So
yeah,
you're give me any good.
Your guess is definitely as good as mine, Chad. Cause and again, not that it was a bad promo. It was obviously with these two, it was a fantastic promo, but I just didn't get, it went over my head what she was trying to get at in the promo.
I can see that. Totally. I totally see that. Yeah. And I agree. Like, if you didn't know, I mean, just look at it from our point of view. We're talking about something that was almost 30 years ago, if we didn't know then, we had 30 years to figure this out. And we're still not even sure.
And we end the show obviously with an awesome Cactus promo. Man, ECW at this point is just building up the best promo guys, because you got Cactus, you got Paulie. Anyway, Cactus talks about being proud of Sandman and how Cactus has become weak because He cares about winning and not about just destroying people, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, I'm never going to say that was a bad Cactus Jack promo. You're never going to hear that from me because he doesn't do bad promos. But he essentially challenges Sandman to a Texas death match, and if he doesn't win it, he will leave ECW. Aaron, Chad, any comments on this fantastic promo from Cactus Jack?
Aaron?
No, you summed it up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird. It's one of them kind of things where, you know, when you hear like somebody saying that if I can't beat you, I'll leave kind of thing. And you know damn well that Cactus Jack has other obligations anyway. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be a different story if it was Hot Body and Stetson. Because where are they going to go?
Yeah, they don't have anything to do. They just gotta work at the plant on Monday.
Yeah, I mean Cactus Jack, you're talking about like he's got a whole bunch of bookings and everything else, and now he's got to reroute his bookings that he can't take anything on the East Coast unless it's you can figure out a date for Philadelphia. Oh, I can't be in Philadelphia anymore. I got to go from Maryland to Jersey. I got to go around Philly because I lost that stinking match. Just imagine if they adhered to the stipulations. But anyway, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, overall, guys, what did we think of this episode of ECW? I actually enjoyed it. I liked it. I gave this episode actually a B-. First time I've been above a C. I gave it a B-.
I still gave it a C. I gave it a good C because I liked the different look.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the arena. It was a little bit of Florida, and then it was like a lot of the recap stuff. You saw some other different possible venues,
Yes.
And we still haven't got to Phi Delta Slam yet, have we?
Not in Florida. They were in the ECW arena at one point, but we haven't seen them in the Florida shows yet.
But they came from Florida.
Yes.
Like, are they a couple of the guys? See, like I said, since I didn't go, I don't know. Were they a couple of guys who just showed up?
Probably.
Like, looking for work, and then he just kept coming around, and then Paulie finally said, if you guys should come to Philadelphia. Or did he give him a peek down there at all?
I think at one point he was considering them because if I remember correctly, I think when they were at the arena, and that was probably 6 months ago when we had that, but I think they got a victory over somebody, and then they had a match with Public Enemy and got the loss. But
wait a minute, didn't they beat me and Donnie?
You might be right.
Yeah, because wasn't one of them? I'm trying to think who one of the guys were. One of the guys ended up being somebody that I knew, but I didn't know it then until we got together, for the match. Like when we were talking, he's like, "Yeah, I remember you. You worked at." I'm just thinking like, "Oh my god," but it wasn't Jeff Bradley, right?
I don't think so.
No.
But I just picture you going, you old so and so. Hello.
I mean, because that was right in my wheelhouse when I was working everywhere. That would be like back in the days when I would run into Bo James, like twice a week, and then he would tell me that he just saw my name in the sheets, and like you were just in Evansville, you were just in Tampa.
I love listening to that guy. Bo
He's
James.
great.
Yeah, like when I don't always listen to Between the Sheets, but when I see Bo James is on Between the Sheets, I'm like, all right, I got my popcorn, let's go, because that dude's fucking awesome. I love him.
Yep, he's got them great East Tennessee stories, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
and he's no bullshit too. Like he will call, even if it's a bad take. He will make you believe his bad take.
Right. I remember the last time I went to Tennessee, and it had been in the last couple years that I was talking to him, and me and Miss Jess were ahead of schedule. We were leaving early to get there early to get to Tennessee to see my mom, and I remember getting in touch with Bo and being like, hey, you're only like 30 miles or so outside of Knoxville. How about we stop off and get lunch or something like that? And he was like, look me up. And we were driving through Kingsport, and I messaged him, and sure enough, he didn't get the message in time. We passed Kingsport, so I wasn't going back. And then on our way out of Tennessee, he never answered. So I missed my chance to have lunch with the king of Kingsport. Oh, Bo James. You ain't kidding. That guy knows his shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can tell me anything about the Whitakers from that show I was telling you guys about.
He probably met him.
Did you guys watch that show?
I watched. I gotta confess, I didn't watch the show, but I watched some clips when you mentioned it, and I was like, "Well, this is something I'm definitely gonna have to get into when I get some time."
Oh, it is, dude! I want to see them against the Briscoes. That would be some shit there.
The Whitakers, the Briscoes, and Duck Dynasty in a triple threat.
and Danhausen. I can imagine Danhausen having breakfast with the Whitakers.
Whitakerhausen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Danhausen and the Whitakers.
Very gross, very creepy.
Dude, I love me some Whitakers, dude. I'm turning everybody I can onto them. Like if I was a manager anymore nowadays, that's would be the name. My name of my stable would be the Soft White Underbelly. That's what the series is called. I gotta manage the Whitakers, dude.
All right, Aaron, any parting words for our listeners this week?
Nope, just thanks for listening, and just support all the shows on the network. Thanks, guys.
Yep. And before I sign off, I just want to tell Miss Jess that before we started recording this, and then I went out to the car, and I had to get my my beer for the show, and we're recording this, and it's somewhere roughly around midnight, right? Yeah, midnight. Yeah, 12:30. And the last thing she said when I went upstairs to kiss her goodnight was, "That better last till tomorrow night at least." I said, "It's like 12. It's like 11 o'clock, and I'm going out to get a 30-pack now." Like, how long do you think I'm going to stay up? and do you think I'm drinking during the Voice in the morning? What the fuck do you think I'm doing over here? So I told her to don't you worry. There'll be plenty of beer left tomorrow when you get home. Not for her, but for me to carry on to the next day.
Beer carryover. And thank you for joining us, everyone. Like Aaron said, like Chad said, listen to all the shows on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, but especially this one, and tell your friends because it's the best. Reliving the Extreme.
Really good.
We will see you next week, everybody, as we continue our journey through the history of ECW. Have a great weekend. Thank you.